Tonight on NewsWatch, standing their ground, Syrian Christians stand for faith and country in their war-torn land. Plus, God's heart for the orphans, how churches across the nation are working to help children without a home find a family. And a compliment misunderstood. One woman's unbelievable story in the face of Islamic outrage. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. The plight of Syrian Christians and a call to remember persecuted believers leading into the International Day of Prayer. Good evening, I'm Lori Johnson. Many Syrian Christians have had to flee their homes under Muslim attack in that country's civil war. However, many have stayed and are still going to church and standing in the face of horrible violence and persecution. Dale Hurd has tonight's top story.
In a country torn by a violent civil war, the sound of a church bell ringing stands in stark contrast to the sounds of gunfire and bombs that have become the norm. Many Christians have fled Syria. Others stand their ground, risking their lives to attend church.
Even when they hear bombs and shellings, as you see, there are many people in the churches because they see the only hope in the prayer.
Christians are one of the largest religious minorities in Syria. They make up about 10% of the country's population of 23 million people and have found themselves caught in the middle of the brutal civil war. Sunni-led Muslim rebels fighting the government have repeatedly shelled predominantly Christian neighborhoods in Damascus. In addition, al-Qaeda-linked fighters have desecrated churches in areas they have seized. Sami Amir is a Christian from eastern Damascus.
They are targeting specifically a Christian area. They want people to go out, or maybe they want them to be against the regime.
The attack on Christians has Syria's religious minorities deeply concerned about the growing role of Islamic extremism among the rebels fighting President Bashar Assad's regime. Islamic extremists took over the village of Malula last month. Youssef Nami says he and his wife crawled into a small house next to the church. They hid for 3 days until the shooting stopped. Youssef says the jihadists shouted, "Anybody who wants to convert to Islam is good. Otherwise, they will be killed." At least 32 people have been killed and dozens injured in recent weeks in the Christian district of Al-Qasa. At the start of the civil war, many Christians tried to stay neutral. But as rebel forces have become dominated by Muslim jihadis, Christians often have to side with the government. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Joining us with more on the plight of Syria's Christians is senior international reporter Gary Lane. Gary, thanks for joining us. So Dale was just reporting on how up until this point, the Christians have tried to remain neutral and not really side with the rebels or the Assad government. But talk about why now it seems like they are siding with the government.
Well, they've always been stuck between a rock and a hard place. If they side with Assad, then they get clobbered by the rebels. If they side with the rebels, they get clobbered by Assad. So they have tried to stay neutral, but I think they're seeing now that the rebels are not their friends. No matter what they do, they're going to get clobbered. And there's proof of that. Just recently uncovered some graves in a Christian village between Damascus and Homs. There were 30 Christian graves uncovered, and a total of about 45 people killed there. So, and they're seeing the al-Nusra group is attacking them in villages, forcing them to become Christians, destroying their churches. And it isn't just the Islamists. It's also happening from the Free Syria Army. One of their leading clerics was seen on YouTube. You can see this video of him destroying a Virgin Mary statue. So they're not really the friends of the Christians. So they're saying, hey, we've got nothing to lose. Let's side with Assad.
Now, you've been to Syria many times. And have covered and met a lot of the Christians personally. Over the years, how have they interacted with the Assad government?
They fared quite well under Assad. Now, Assad would try to control the churches, limit how many, what denominations, the types of Bibles and other Christian books that came into the country. But if Christians stayed within their churches, he left them alone. And they were pretty well off. But those that went outside the churches and started evangelizing Muslims, they got into trouble. I met one evangelist who was doing that regularly. Secret police would call him in regularly, question him, interrogate him, say, look, if you don't stop this, we're going to turn you over to the Muslim Brotherhood. So they didn't like to see evangelism because that caused strife between faiths.
Mm-hmm. Well, these Christians are, of course, our brothers and sisters, even though they're halfway around the world. Certainly. How can we here in North America help them?
Well, it's interesting you ask that because this Sunday is the International Day of Prayer for the Persecuted Church, IDOP Sunday. Christians around the world will be praying for Syrian Christians, Egyptian Christians, other Christians that are persecuted, but Syria needs it. And don't pray that they just be protected from attacks and persecution. They always ask us to pray that they will be stronger in their faith, that they will endure this, that they will get through it. And so that's how we need to pray, is to pray that they will be strong in their faith and be salt and light and remain in Syria and not leave. 450,000 have either left their homes or left the country. So remain there, be strong in your faith, be salt and light.
Prayer works. All
yes,
right,
it does.
Gary, thank you so much. There are reports Israeli warplanes have attacked a Russian missile shipment inside a Syrian government stronghold. They were reportedly headed to Hezbollah. Those reports come even as President Bashar Assad met a key deadline in the Russian-backed plan to eliminate his country's chemical weapons stockpile. Neither Israel nor Syria confirmed the attack. However, Israel is on record saying it will stop any weapons shipments it can from getting to the terrorist group. The Prime Minister of Iraq formally asked President Obama for help today during a meeting at the White House. Since U.S. troops left Iraq 2 years ago, violence has spiked as an insurgency movement tied with al-Qaeda has rekindled. The violence started rising in Iraq within months of the U.S. troop departure in late 2011, with at least 6,000 Iraqis killed this year. President Nouri al-Maliki says terrorists found a, quote, second chance after the U.S. left, and now he wants help with additional weapons and intelligence. A TSA agent and 2 other people died in a shooting at Los Angeles International Airport today. The gunman is in custody. Air traffic in and out of LAX was grounded following the shooting, and air travelers were evacuated from terminals. Eyewitnesses say they heard at least a dozen shots fired. Emergency crews were seen treating people, but no word on injuries apart from those who died. More damage control for Obamacare, as reports of only a handful of Americans signed up for it the first day the website opened. As Ephraim Graham reports, a new poll shows the public has a negative view of the mandated health care launch.
Republicans say the numbers tell it all. The House Oversight Committee has released documents from inside the Obama administration. They show it was nearly impossible to sign up for the first several days on the healthcare.gov website. By the end of the first day, only 6 people, that's across the entire country, were able to successfully sign up for insurance. And by the end of the second day, after millions of attempts to log on, only 248 people were enrolled.
I tried like 5 times within an hour, and then I just gave up. I just kept spinning. Nothing happened.
You would never, ever see this in private enterprise, but this is an argument for why you shouldn't turn over something so precious as your health care to the government.
The Obama administration calls the numbers unofficial. Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius told Congress the website's problems make early data unreliable. Her agency will not issue its first report on the numbers until mid-November. Regardless, the first month of Obamacare was viewed by a majority of Americans as a disaster. A survey released this morning from the Kaiser Family Foundation shows 80% of those polled have a negative impression of Obamacare's implementation. 14% say it's going well. Ephraim Graham, CBN News.
Meanwhile, this week, the Washington Post fact-checker called President Obama a big liar. The newspaper gives President Obama 4 Pinocchios for his repeated claims that Americans would be able to keep their health insurance. CBS News reports that at least 2 million Americans have already lost their existing health care plans due to Obamacare. Some say that figure will go much higher, since about 12 million Americans previously bought their own insurance. Public prayer goes before the U.S. Supreme Court again next Wednesday. It involves the small town of Greece, New York, which still holds prayer before its meetings. The Alliance Defending Freedom is supporting the city and says that American governments from federal to local have a long history of constitutionally protected prayer. Americans United for Separation of Church and State brought the suit, saying it violates the First Amendment's Establishment Clause. Most of the new Texas abortion law has been reinstated by a federal appeals court. Among its requirements, all abortion doctors must have admitting privileges at a hospital less than 30 miles away. 12 of the state's 32 abortion clinics do not meet the standard and will have to stop performing abortions. A federal judge ruled Monday the new law was unconstitutional and blocked it from taking effect, but was overruled by the Fifth Circuit. Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott says it will protect the health and safety of Texas women. Planned Parenthood vows to continue fighting the new laws. Coming up, Christians helping orphaned children find a family and a place to call home.
In 2008, my husband Gary departed for heaven. I was still grieving. And then to find out I had cancer, I began praying, God, how do I do this? Where do I do this? Cancer Treatment Centers of America was the place. Dr. Neelam outlined a plan that would take care of my mind and my body, and she prayed with me.
For Bible-believing Christians, we're able to pray with them in a much deeper way as they begin to really rely upon their faith.
At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we believe in the power of faith and prayer as indispensable allies in the fight against complex and advanced stage cancer.
I'm back in Telluride on the mountain skiing. I feel strong and healthy.
Advanced medicine and technology.
And I am a survivor.
The warm embrace of the Spirit and the power of prayer.
These are happy tears.
Please go to cancercenter.com/faith. Appointments available now. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Thousands of churches around the globe will observe Orphan Sunday this weekend. They, along with other Christian organizations, joined the Christian Alliance for Orphans to highlight the need. Around the world, more than 17 million children have lost both their parents. More than 400,000 U.S. children suffer in the foster care system, with 100,000 of them waiting to be adopted. The president of the Christian Alliance says when Christians open their hearts and homes in adoption, foster care, and global orphan ministry, we mirror the God who did the same for us. CBN's Charlene Israel met one family that adopted a house full of children. She has the incredible story of how God gave them and their church an amazing love for orphans.
If everything is bigger in Texas, the Lathans of Possum Trot could be one of the reasons why. The Lathans have 10 children, and all of them are adopted. Glenn and Teresa Lathan say their faith led them to take in so many kids.
God really was working in my heart because children have always been a passion, and I love children.
I'm real proud, that God gave us the vision to go ahead and adopt them, because there's so many kids out there nowadays that don't have good homes and need homes, and nobody wants to adopt them. So I'm glad God put it on my heart to adopt them.
16-year-old Shaniqua says her mom and dad are perfect adoptive parents.
I see them loving everybody and having a big heart for each other.
The Lathans attend Bennett Chapel, a small missionary Baptist church just outside of Shelbyville, Texas. 12 years ago, parishioners from this 200-member congregation were motivated to adopt 70 children from the local foster care system. It all started with a broken heart. In 1996, the pastor's wife, Donna Martin, had to deal with the death of her mother. So she prayed and asked God to help her handle the grief.
The day that the Lord spoke to me to Donna give back out of my hurt and pain, he said, I want you to adopt.
Donna enrolled in a series of classes about kids in the foster care system. What she found out broke her heart in a new way.
They were totally neglected. They were pushed from one place to another. They were the ones that was X'd out. They were the one that the system had. And some way, somehow, the system doesn't train up a child in the way that should go. But Jesus does, through our voice.
That situation moved Donna and her husband to adopt 4 children.
Before I came to the Martins and before I was adopted, I was mistreated, I was abused, I was not being loved fairly.
Bishop W.C. Martin is Donna's husband and pastor of Bennett Chapel.
What we started here, God is intended for it to keep on going on until every single child can truly say, I got a mother and a father.
That passion spread throughout the tiny congregation until more than half the church members had adopted children.
I didn't realize there was so many kids out there that didn't have families because I've always been with a family and I just really didn't know. And that's what really made me to adopt, to try to help someone that didn't have the love and parents that I had.
Jenny Judson of Child Protective Services helped the church with the adoptions.
It's particularly important for African American children because, as you know, we have a disproportionate representation of those children within our agency, and we have a large number of children waiting for adoption. So we were able to impact that in a really positive way and provide a lot of children with a really great home and family.
To me, as an African American person and growing up in the area that I grew up in, all we knew how to do is kind of just take care of our own. And adoption was not a black thing to me. It was something that white people's did.
Judson says the impact on the children has been life-changing.
I think hope is the smile in the eyes of a child. When you go into that church today and you see the children in that service and see them dancing and clapping and raising their hands and worshiping God and smiling and being so happy, that's hope. That's hope because they didn't have that before.
Today, Bishop Martin and his church are reaching even more children in the community through this new recreational center.
It brings the kids in off the streets and give them some ability and give them some structure to be able to focus in life a little bit better. Children come here from all over the communities, you know, from everywhere around here. And so far, it has really been truly a miracle in this town.
Meanwhile, the Lathans admit having such a large family can have challenges.
And through Christ Jesus, he strengthened me, you know, to take care of all these kids. So that's what I lean on, God's word.
It has not been an easy job, but it's been a rewarding job. And when I say rewarding, I'm talking about all the love that they bring into your heart. Not only just me giving back to them, but they have given me so much.
All reasons why Bishop Martin says the body of Christ can and should do more.
The church got the ability, the church got the power, and they got the structure. If they can do it in Possum Trot at Bennett Chapel, they can do it anywhere.
Charlene Israel, CBN News.
Up next, a woman's world is turned upside down when she's accused of insulting Islam, but was it all a big misunderstanding?
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes and Google Play now.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids.
He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Great Britain is a Christian nation according to its history and constitution. But if you lived there, sometimes you might think it was a Muslim country. Dale Hurd explains how one British Christian found that out the hard way.
Nohat Halawi learned that in today's Britain, you better not be perceived as having insulted a Muslim at work, because it could ruin your life. Halawi worked in the cosmetics counter in duty-free inside London's Heathrow Airport for 13 years. She was, by all accounts, hardworking and well-liked. But when Halawi ran afoul of her Muslim co-workers, she was effectively fired.
I didn't say anything wrong. I was complimenting a colleague of mine.
Halawi, a Christian from Lebanon, was having a conversation in Arabic with a co-worker and praising a Muslim colleague when it was misinterpreted by another Muslim employee as an insult.
We were talking about something else, and then suddenly I said, well, not everyone's like you. You are such an Allawi, I used the word. Allawi means a man of God in Arabic, in any religion. Unbeknown to me, my accuser was standing quite close by, and he just jumped, came right there and started shouting on the shop floor in front of passengers, my colleagues, everyone started telling me, you are insulting Islam?
It sounds like a ridiculous claim, but rumors spread among Heathrow's many Muslim employees that Halawi was anti-Muslim, and she was seen as a problem and was eventually fired. Nohat Halawi isn't anti-Muslim. She's married to a Muslim.
I've been dismissed because I'm a racist. How embarrassing was that for me? And it was all a total lie.
What happened to Nohat was grossly unfair, totally disproportionate.
Halawi is being represented by the Christian Legal Center, headed by Andrea Williams.
So to be perceived to give offense to Allah, to the Prophet Muhammad, has meant that she lost the job that she'd had for many, many years and been very effective at.
Nohat Halawi not only says she was harassed for her faith, what she witnessed at Heathrow Airport should make travelers who use Heathrow Airport nervous. Halawi heard Muslim employees of Heathrow Airport praising the terrorist attacks of 9/11 and Britain's 7/7 attack. She saw Muslims bring the Quran to work. She saw them proselytizing and handing out radical leaflets.
And he just walks up to us and he says, if you do not convert to Islam from now before the end of the world, you will go to hell. Saying, convert now as well because Islam is taking over.
And when the employee was reported, Halawi says he was not fired. This is the same Heathrow Airport which in 2006 saw a foiled plot to smuggle explosives through security and onto American airliners. Financially, Halawi has been ruined. She believes she's unemployable now and has been battling depression.
Of course, who's going to give me a job when everyone knows that I'm a racist? They've just basically ruined our lives.
Heathrow Airport declined to comment for this story. But assuming Halawi's story is true, why is Christian Britain allowing the persecution of Christians like Halawi while protecting and boosting Islam?
It's extraordinary how the authorities in our country bend over backwards to accommodate Islam.
This has been a nationwide phenomenon in Britain for years.
I think that there's a sense in which all of these things can only be understood in spiritual terms. And I think in Great Britain today, we are in pagan times. We have been handed over and we're blinded.
Halawi has not gotten any help from the courts in Britain. Her attorney, Paul Diamond, has appealed to the European Court of Justice in Luxembourg, where it should stand out as a clear case of religious discrimination. Halawi is hoping the European Court cares more about the rights of Christians than Britain does. Dale Hurd, CBN News, London.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Finally today, 8 kids in Nevada will remember this Halloween as a very special one. That's because some of them had spent years without a permanent home, but on Halloween morning, a fairy god judge granted their wish, a real family and home. She made their adoptions official. The kids were allowed to show up in costume for the ceremony, but they weren't the only ones. The judge actually dressed up like a fairy godmother for the occasion. And that's all the time we have for this edition of NewsWatch. Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here again on Monday.